Here we go. The sound is working. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm John Miglash for the WDMA. Here we go. The sound is working. We're going to be talking about customer service and stuff today. And before we do, we got some, I don't know, this is a peculiar one, I got to say. But here we go. Let's see what it looks like, right? This is an ad from We Buy Any Car in the UK.
I just sold my car.
When are you going to part exchange?
I was, but who knew you could get a better deal if you sell to We Buy Any Car? Just sold my car. Do we buy any car? Hey!
Just sold my car. Yeah! Do we buy any car? Just sold my car. Do we buy any car? Just sold my car.
To find out how much your car's worth in 30 seconds, enter your reg number now at WeBuyAnyCar.com.
Just sold my car. Okay, now, you say, John, that's not up to your usual standards of excellence. That commercial is stupid. Right. Well, we're getting to that. We'll get to that in a minute, right? But first, a couple of other things. News. Why Mozilla acquired an AI product review analyzer company. And the article has a nice history of where Mozilla came from and how it got started in browser technology in 1998 and with Firefox and Thunderbird, and now it's I ran across Rust the other day in a tech article, and they said it's fast becoming one of the favorite programming languages in the world because of its speed and efficiency. And it was also invented within Mozilla. And Thunderbird, which I use every day and my wife loves, is also Mozilla. It's built into Thunderbird and Firefox are built into Ubuntu Linux, which is what I use most of the time. Not on this particular machine for some other reasons. The editor I use is on here. But every other machine pretty much has, the one over there, has Ubuntu on it. My main machine at home has Ubuntu. All my wife's machines, including one behind me over there, has Ubuntu on it. But they bought FakeSpots, and FakeSpot is a company founded in 2016, and it serves as an AI assistant for people buying things. It spots fakes of whatever type of product the individual is wanting to purchase. Then it lets the customer know the quality of the item by way of a letter grade as shared on Gadget Review. Okay, so it links to Gadget Review. FakeSpot doesn't only do this sort of review analysis, but also actively finds better offers on other websites for buyers to consider, as well as FakeSpot Guard, which keeps one alerted to suspicious scammers. Okay, and I thought what it was going to do was find AI copy. What I really want is an AI bot that tells me that these tech articles are written by AI bots. That's what I want, because I had two again today that repeat phrases regularly and without any synonyms, and like word for word, it plagiarizes itself. And I think these gotta be. And after you have to read it fairly closely for a while, so it's delaying my show preparation. And I just threw them out, and one was a 6-minute read and the other was a 4-minute read, with highlighting that you can even take longer. So anyway, both organizations, FakeSpot and Mozilla, pursue quality and security for customers in an ethical way. And people who use FakeSpot also have higher satisfaction with their purchases and return products less often. Okay, and FakeSpot is actually being supported by Amazon, Best Buy, etc. I'd like to know a more complete list than that, but FakeSpot has won over big businesses and at-home buyers alike. Okay, so we're going to have to try it out. I'm guessing that my Firefox will get an update. That's my main browser on this machine. I use a different browser on Ubuntu more often, but I'm running out of patience. It hasn't been upgraded in a while, like 2 years, and there's more and more software or more and more websites it won't run. So FakeSpot integrates. The next thing will be FakeSpot integrating into Firefox in the near future, and so that's something to keep an eye out for. But if you're an AI developer, I really want to find an AI review tool. So it gives me the likelihood of an AI written story so I can avoid them, right? Because, and I did one from Mark Ritson a couple months ago that I thought he'd had a stroke or something because it wasn't up to his usual standards. And it turned out at the end he admitted that he'd let ChatGPT write the article, and it was just terrible. But hopefully he doesn't do that anymore. Maybe he just lets it start the article or something. Okay, so despite advances in AI, retail customer experience still needs a human touch. When I was one of my first jobs out of college, or my second job, was in internal sales in a business-to-business company, and oftentimes engineers would spec the wrong thing, or spec something impossible. They would ask for a pressure switch that had, an inch of water column sensitivity. That's like, it could tell if that was happening, but it would also have 2,000 psi shock resistance or something. So. It was like it could tell the breath of a breeze, but not be damaged by a freight train running it over. Okay, well, there's some problems in that. You can have one or the other, but you can't have both. So I would sometimes get irate customers who were waiting on some part that they had told us they wanted and they really didn't want, and they were waiting for a $20 or $30 million paper machine that takes a city block, and they wanted this one switch that they'd been promised, and they'd call up and scream at me. And what I learned, and what I was taught when they sent me to a customer support seminar, was sound like you care. That was the key to customer support. Sound like you care. And, that's been lost to this point in human history. I call a lot of places, and most the places don't sound like they care. They literally don't care, which is okay. I didn't care either, but I learned to sound like I care. And when I was over a phone support department of about 60 people, that's what I taught them. I said, you always sound like you care. Always smile and nod. We had mirrors so they could see themselves, look friendly, sound compassionate. If you might not be able to do something about it, and we always had a policy they could send them to me, and I could let them yell at me because I didn't care, but I sounded like I cared. So of the 3 articles I read, one was written by a VP at Microsoft, so I really expected them not to care. I gave up customer support at Microsoft decades ago. And that's part of the reason I use Ubuntu Linux, because if you're not going to get support, you might as well use something that's free. Anyway, human interactions still cannot be directly replicated through technology. That's true. There are tells, no matter what they say about the Turing test. In addition, the addition of AI and virtual agents is extremely helpful in decreasing labor costs and serving more customers, both online and in store. I haven't met a robot yet in store. Maybe a kiosk. Maybe they're talking about that. But, however, when used improperly, or basically when used at all, innovation can come at the cost of the absence of humility. I thought that was interesting. Humility. I'm not sure I ever told anybody they needed humility to talk to customers. Empathy for sure. Understanding, not sure. Okay. Anyway, So chatbots, if you're in a stressful situation, you may not want to talk to a chatbot. Now, I was trying to think about when I actually had a satisfying experience with a chatbot, and the cable or the internet company has outages. We've had 3 or 4 this summer already, and I'm not sure why, but their robot sounds really friendly, and it's a woman, and she asks you questions and you give the answer. You're calling from this number. Are you calling about the account that's associated with this phone? And I say yes, and she says, are you calling about, and then they ask you what you want, and you say internet outage, and then she says, oh, we have a report of an internet outage in your area. We're working on it as best we can, and we expect it to be fixed by 7:30 p.m. or something like that, which they almost never are, but that's what they expect. And that's it. Simple. I bet 90% of their calls are that. Our internet's out. So hopefully they haven't fired all the people. Hopefully there is someone there to talk to, but I never do. I just do that. The electric company has a similar one if your power's out. So it can take the mundane, right? And so a mundane and frequent customer issue, I'm all in for that, right? If it's done well. But if customers are in a stressful situation or they have a confusing question, which I basically am a self-serve guy, which the article makes a point that some people prefer, right? But the scary part is 60% of high-value customer experience interactions are being solely handled by voice and AI, despite the fact that customers will want an empathetic, remember, here's empathy, an emotional response during those interactions. Sometime you really want to explain to somebody why their AI chatbot thing is insane, if not incompetent. Okay, and so, but one of the things they're trying to put together is having the CX agent have access to information served up by the bot. So not talking directly to the customer, but guiding the conversation for the customer service agent. Yesterday, I called the state of Wisconsin Department of Workforce Development, DWD, I guess. And, there'd been a mix-up and stuff, and they said, yes, it's probably true, but they said, oh, yes, we see you sent us a letter. It's like, well, why didn't you call me back or something? Why didn't you deal with it instead of sending me more letters saying that the IRS would start garnishing my tax returns if I didn't pay the couple of bucks that for not filing when I shouldn't have been filing. Anyway, we got it all straight. The guy was very, very helpful, and he had the stuff right there in front of him. Oh yes, I see that. Yeah, we've assessed you a penalty, or that was actually a prospective assessment of tax withholding or something. And I said, yeah, okay, but it doesn't apply. Oh yeah, you're right, it doesn't apply, and you didn't have to file for the first quarter, and so we'll turn that off, and when we get your stuff, and it was all very helpful. So that guy had access to stuff that was very helpful, and that's the way it has to be set up, I think, at least for the near term. Okay, human interaction will still be essential in solving a problem and answering a confusing question. Okay, it's not going to go completely away. So don't fire your customer service support people, but help them. And maybe they'll even be happier to work there, because we always had a lot of turnover in the customer support. Okay, so here's Marketers Need to Put Creativity Back in Its Place by Mark Ritson. Okay, and he was talking about how a very small percentage of the marketing community are heading for Cannes, I think, the Cannes Festival of Creativity, and he said the whole industry ignored the creativity word because they basically believed that the internet was going to be so powerful at identifying what customers wanted before the customer knew they wanted it, that it would be more important than anything else anybody could do, because we'd be at their door with a selection of items before they even realized that their water heater had blown up or something. Of course, that was silly. And as Bob Hacker pointed out to me once, even if you had all the buyers prospective buyers that were looking for a water heater because theirs had just leaked all over the basement. If there were one salesman in the room who knew what they were doing, they would attract all the buyers. It's not enough to have them herded into the same corner. You have to still tell them a story that they can resonate with. Okay? So traditional advertising fought digital, and every channel proved its own supremacy, right? And oftentimes the digital boys did understand their data better than, say, the direct mail community, where digital figured out how they could drop a cookie on a visitor to a website and claim all the credit, even though the interaction had been initiated by a catalog or some other mailer, right? They got in the middle and they said, well, it doesn't matter who you mailed. We care about who visited the site. And then everybody who visited the site to place their order or to get their questions answered, voila, was a digital buyer, driven by our digital magic. Okay? Although David Abbott said to Dave Trott, Scheisse delivered at the speed of light is still caca. Okay, I changed the words. I don't want to get demonetized, even though I've never made a dime from YouTube. So creativity should be venerated as a crucial driver of advertising. Okay, so now we're starting to get back to that after the internet destroyed that whole idea. So what are the titles of the talks? How DE&I, which I think is diversity, equity, and inclusivity, unlocks creativity. Not sure if that's true or not. It depends a little bit on diverse in what way. Right? Height may not do it. Right? And if everyone speaks a different language, aka Tower of Babel syndrome, you may not have it happen either. You'll have endless creativity and no communication. So technology is creative risk-taking, data-powered creativity, and measure creativity creatively. Oh my goodness. Les Bennett said, long-term brand building plus creative advertising is the key to firmer pricing. Okay, so he's got a talk in there apparently. But now Ritson says the pendulum has swung too far toward the C word. Marketers cannot multitask, so now it's all about creativity at the expense of the other elements that make up marketing and advertising. Creative quality can be a 12-time multiplier. I've never seen anything like that. Especially since some of the most creative ads of all time didn't sell well. Like Plop Plop Fizz Fizz, oh what a relief it is for Alka-Seltzer, or Where's the Beef for Burger King. They just didn't. They communicated a discomfort associated with their product. Okay, but in both cases. And so it isn't always creativity, and it's not even the most important variable. But what they've done is they've separated other variables and made them look like a smaller factor. But if they're combined, then they're bigger than creativity. And the sad part is, that keeps getting proven over and over, is that big brands usually win, right? And read Confessions of an Ad Man. Repetition of the company name almost always wins, right? So we buy any car. We buy any car. We buy any car. I'm not even sure what that's about, but I got a car I need to sell. Maybe I should look into it, except I don't think it's worth selling it in the UK. Okay, creativity also cannot be atomized, and I think that means broken down into its composite parts. Bright colors, free in the headline. There are some elements of that, but just because you check all those boxes doesn't mean that it's creative. So anyway, creativity contributes about 47%. The rest is derived from brand, that you're just in top of mind. And creativity usually follows from strategy. And that's Mark's main point. I highly recommend you read this and get on the WDMA.org website, and there's a link underneath the video post. That's to join, but you can also get to the members only, because there's a menu at the top, and read the rest of it. You have to subscribe, but that's free, or join and support our fight for quality in marketing and advertising. But the best creative tests I've ever done, just in conclusion, have been when I explained to the creative people why it mattered and why I thought it would boost response. So it was strategy that drove creativity, and that's always a factor. And I have that fight. I've had that fight over the years with many, 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 many creatives. I will give you very, very free rein, but I will also tell you what to do. Because I think about it at a different level. You think about creativity at a different level, and I think about strategy at a different level. And strategy is not lesser than creativity because it preempts and prepares for victory. Way to go, Mark. Have a great day.